Hey there everybody, it's Carpo here, and today I'm going to talk about auto theft. I'm going to talk about a few ways to prevent auto theft and a few of the facts about theft in the US. And I thought I would start with the numbers. I believe over 1 million cars to 1.2 million cars are stolen each year in the United States. On the top of that list is the Honda Accord, one of which I have sitting in my driveway. Now, it hasn't run in a few years because it has some mechanical issues. Therefore, I can't even know for sure if anyone's tried to steal it anyway. However, about a week ago, we got up in the morning, my wife looked out the window and said, "Where's my car?" And her Honda Passport, her 99 Honda Passport, was gone. So we went back and watched the security camera because previously we've had our Honda, the same Honda, stolen out of the driveway. Now that time was our own fault. She started it on a cold fall morning, came back inside for literally like 2 minutes, and somebody just happened to pull up in another car that they'd stolen, jump in and take off. So it was one of those strange moments where something happens that's unexpected, but you chalk it up to chance. It's our third Honda. We had another one that also was stolen from an apartment up the way and was broken into several times. At a point I started just leaving it unlocked. And I leave a note in there, basically, to the thieves. You know, nothing in here is worth the damn. So a week and a half ago, when my wife's car was stolen, eventually the cops called us a couple days later and said it was found and towed to naturally the crappiest tow yard in Portland, Retriever Towing. And we went down there, and they didn't tell us till we'd already paid for it that it's undrivable. And we went to check it out, and basically there was no way to start it. The people who had stolen it had broke off their jiggler key in the ignition. Now, a jiggler key is just like this. This is my previous key for the Honda. I don't know if you can see that very well. Yeah, probably not. But it's basically a standard key that just has a bunch of grooves taken out of it. You can look them up. This one I made out of my previous key because when I went to use it, it didn't work. Well, they broke about this much off way down inside and they couldn't get it. I have a secret to getting those out. On a side note, you take a bobby pin, you put a little bit of super glue on the top flat side, slide it under the key, wait 5 minutes, pull it right out. But even with that, they'd totally messed up my ignition, and there was nothing I could do. I tried the jiggler keys, nothing worked, and finally, on YouTube, I found the one tutorial. It was like a crappy little 2-minute tutorial that somebody said, "Hey, I'd heard that if you hit the key with a mallet, then you can get it to start." And he was having the same problem with the GMC. So I popped the key in there, took a rubber mallet, and went pop. Turned the key, turned it right over. The issue was I couldn't roll the windows up because the power windows won't work. They stole the battery on top of it. So my guess is they pulled into the gas station, the key broke off in the ignition. The steering wheel was locked, they couldn't get it started again. So they just took the battery and took off. And now I'm in the process of, I got the windows rolled up, I'm at least repairing and trying to get it fixed. But the bigger question isn't, how do I fix all these problems, but how the hell do I prevent this from ever happening again? Now, if you're a car owner, which I'm sure a lot of you are, have you ever had to break into your own car? And I'm sure a lot of you have. And if you have, then you know how damn easy it really can be once you figure it out. Running a Slim Jim down into the side, when I worked on a construction site, I would grab the straps that they use to strap lumber together. It's about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick. And if somebody had locked themselves out of the car on the job site, which happened regularly, you just cut it into a Slim Jim. One end has a little part for pushing down, the other part has a little hook for pulling up, make sure it's rounded off. You can slide that into just about any door jamb and figure it out pretty damn quickly. And once you've figured it out once, you can get your window open all the time. You can get your doors open all the time. It's easy, but that's the problem. If the average citizen can pull this off, just learning and doing it once in a while to get in their own car, imagine how easy it is for others who practice it every day. And so my point here is not to, of course, instill fear and say you're screwed, but really, if a person wants your car bad enough, they will get it. If they want into the car, they will get into the car. That's a fact. That was weird. Something fell down. If they want into the car, they will get into the car. But if they want to start the... Oh, my dog wants in. I see. That's what the sound is. There we go. Hi, Lucy. So, if they want into the car, they'll get into the car. Okay, that's a fact. If they want to start the car, it's going to be a little more complicated if you have protections in place. First of all, getting into the car is one thing. If you have an alarm, like if you grew up in the 90s, you know that alarms were just constant. Alarms were just the normal sound of the city. So what happened? People got tired of alarms. They got sick of listening to them. They got sick of having them. They figured out other methods. They figured they had a better lock system. And so over a period of time, hi Lucy, over a period of time, I guess people just stopped using them. And it's funny because I know a lot of cars still have them, but thieves they became very, very proficient at bypassing alarms, and even battery kill switches, which were very popular for a while. Now, this is what I'm going to get into. You can have an alarm, you can have your battery disconnected, you can have all kinds of different, protective measures, but thieves are smart about these things. The one thing that I've found that is probably the best bet, besides just being aware and even using a club, there are generic keys, master keys that go to just about everything. So basically anything with a lock is just as simple. When I was younger, I had my wife, somebody gave it to her at work. It was the MIT Guide to Lockpicking, and I just read it, bought some deadbolts, and learned how to pick my own locks, and realized, wow, I can get into my own house now, but holy shit, so can anyone else. And you just don't expect it to happen to you because it's such a rarity. There are so many cars around. There are so many houses around. The chance of your house getting broken into or your car, you think it's slim depending on where you live. But once it happens, you're angry because it's too late. There's nothing you can do. You can have people on video camera and the cops won't do anything until they catch them in the act, especially with auto theft. So we're on our own. A very simple fix for almost any car, well, any car if you know how to do it, and especially for Hondas, is you buy a roll of wire and a simple toggle switch. There are better ways to do it. I have to replace this switch because it's actually only rated for 6 amps, but I need a 15 amp circuit. The main point is to make sure you get thick enough wire and a thick enough gauge, for what you're hooking it up to. Basically what you're doing is, in a nutshell, for some people, let's say, they're going in where the fuel pump wire either comes out of the main relay or the fuel pump wire in the trunk in a lot of Hondas, because you can access them in there too. And it's usually like a yellow wire with a black stripe, but it's as simple as cutting that wire, then running a wire from each end to a separate switch. So when a person goes to jump in your car and start it, nothing will happen. They turn on the key, nothing happens. They won't turn over. It'll turn over, but it won't start because there's no fuel pump. This is very well known by thieves as well, because when you turn on a car, you'll hear that little sound for a second. That little whine. That's the fuel pump priming. So if they don't hear that, most savvy thieves know that this is indeed a fuel cutoff switch, and they will look under the dash, they'll look everywhere for them. You can hide a switch really well, and the whole idea is to at least slow them down, but you can also hook it up to the alternator. You can have a cutoff switch to basically any wiring system you want. Some people have multiple, and it may seem like overkill, but the truth is, it's about $10 for the pieces, and about 20 minutes of time. Now imagine how much time that would save you from having your car stolen and having to deal with getting it parted out. It's getting bad out there with the catalytic converter situation too, because people are, figuring out how to put steel plates over their catalytic converters and learn how to protect their damn car, just because thieves will just jack it up in 1 minute and just take the damn thing, sell it for the precious metals inside. Protecting cars is important if you want your automobile to run. I think that car thieves are the lowest of the low. They are the lowest of the low because they're stealing things that aren't just assets or fine art or people's wealth or riches, which can be replaced. These are things that get people to work. These are the things that people need to pay their bills. And so stealing from, people who can barely afford their own car, it's the lowest of the low, and those dirtbags deserve whatever they get. And no sympathy from me if a car thief gets crushed while he's stealing a catalytic converter or something. I really just don't even bat an eye at it. It's like, bummer. I mean, I'm sorry that sounds callous, but it's a lesson learned. Society needs to shun these people and shame these people because the cops aren't doing anything about it, and there's really no recourse. Even if a person gets caught in the act of stealing a car, they get booked and they're released in an hour or the next morning. So, it's up to us to be vigilant and protect our own stuff. So I would highly recommend a kill switch in any automobile if you're able to install it. If you're not, have somebody else do it for you because it's really not that much work. Very little research to figure out where your wires are, and at the very least slow someone down. But having a loud, annoying car alarm, I know that it seems, like you don't want to annoy the neighbors. A lot of people stopped using them because they were so annoying and they were sensitive and they go off all the time. I always had an alarm when I was younger, but I just stopped using them too. And I kind of regret that now. Even the best home security, you can catch a person's face clear as day, and it doesn't mean that cops will do anything. There's really nothing that they can do. And that's why citizen groups and neighbors get together and take care of it themselves as best we can. So at any rate, those are just some thoughts I had. I wanted to make a final note. I should have probably taken notes before I made this because I almost forgot to mention a lot of the newer cars people feel safe because they have their key fobs. The fobs have to be connected to the car in order to make the car run. A lot of folks are aware that there are basically relays that people can buy which allow them to walk up to the house and amplify the signal from your key fob right to your car and literally start your car from your house without even doing anything. Like, they don't even have to break into your car. If your car is connected to, wireless or Bluetooth or whatever it may be, it can be accessed anywhere. So be aware of that and be cautious. There are ways around that by putting your key fob in a box, like a kind of a Faraday cage, a metal mesh box, or keeping it somewhere in the center of your house protected. So those are just some thoughts I had, and just realizing that it can happen to anybody at any time. When people steal crappier cars, like mine, the older ones, they might take a couple parts, but usually it's joyrides or whatnot, tweakers. I found a meth pipe on the, floorboards, but you find it somewhere. If somebody steals a newer car, a nicer car, no matter how well protected you think you are, often when a nice new car goes missing, it never shows up again. These things are completely gutted and parted out, and that's unfortunate. So at least the crappy cars come back a lot of the time. A positive side to it. Yeah, I'm angry for having my car stolen, but I'm also angry at myself for not protecting it better. And I think that's important that we all really realize that it's not the police's responsibility to protect us, nor security. We have a false sense of security. Things can get bad overnight. Your own neighbors could be carjacking you if things got bad enough. So just being aware of that, I think, is important. And knowing that we need to protect our own things, and technology has come a long way. I get notified on my phone when there's facial detection, things like that. So, being aware, but not being paranoid. Talk to you later. Hope you learned something, and if you've got any opinions of your own, if you have any advice for people, please leave it down in the comments so everyone else can read it too, because nobody wants their car stolen. And a quick thanks to my patrons. And if you want to support the channel and get extra content, you can go to my Patreon page, Carpo719, and be sure to check out my podcast, 15-Minute Free Thinking. And I love you all, and I'll talk to you next time. Be well. Peace. And no, I'll just leave it at that.